Now then, boys and girls, hope you're all well. We're not going to hang around for this one because it is absolutely baking out here. So hopefully by now you may have already seen our little review piece that we did with the SIP set of triple mowers, and in that video I explained about, do you know what, I've never actually tried any SIP equipment before. So this week, set and cut silage, we've got a couple of SIP machines down, try them out, actually get hands on the machines, find out what they're like. So in that other review video we had the triple mowers, and now we're going to have a look at one of SIP's tedders. So the model we've got, it is the Spider 1300 12T. So the 1300, that's the working width. So we've got 13 meter working width and we've got 12 rotors. Rotors, I think they have a diameter of about 1.4 meters. So that's the machine we've got to play with. So we'll just have a little run through it, and while we run through it, I'll kind of tell you sort of what we think of it, how we've got on with the machine really. So up front, nice and simple connection to the tractor. It is literally just a drawbar, dead simple, wide angle PTO. In terms of the number of spools you'll need, you just need one double acting, one single acting. Basically your single acting takes care of all the lift and lower, and then your double acting, that's looking after all the folding. Got to be said, the folding looks really cool. It is practically poetry in motion when this thing unfolds and folds out really well, and couldn't be simpler. And I think that's one of the things that often puts people off with these trail tedders, is the fact that you look at them, especially when they're all folded up, they do look quite complicated machines. You wonder how the hell that's going to work, how it's going to unfold. You've got a million ropes to pull and things to time and things like that, but no, it's dead simple. It looks after itself, and there's no electronics here, trickery involved or anything like that. When it actually unfolds and folds, it's basically just all down to valves, and they basically just step through a number of valves, and yeah, it folds and unfolds, and it's yeah, works really well. Anyway, back to the front. Where was I? So yeah, if we move back, yeah, got the handy jack there, good jack. The only thing is the handle does dangle down a little bit. It makes no difference to performance whatsoever. We've not found it actually catches on anything, but you know, for appearance's sake, you know, it'd be quite nice if that was just fastened up there. Moving back, we got a couple of spare tyres here mounted on the front of the chassis. So you got a fat one for the two central rotors at the back there, because obviously they're carrying most of the weight, and then we've got a skinny one there for the rest of the rotors. Chassis looks a bit of a beefy chassis. It's actually shared with the firm's 15 meter machine. So in terms of the family of Spider tedders, it's basically what kind of SIP classes as its heavy duty family of tedders, and I think they start at about 8 or 9 meters and they go all the way up to 15 meters currently. I think there's a 17 meter on the way, and possibly they may even go even bigger than that. But yeah, it's a fair old family of tedders they've got, and then they've got a huge family of mounted tedders as well. But yeah, obviously we got the trail tedder. Now, one thing I like about a trail tedder is the fact that you don't need a particularly huge tractor to manage it. So we've got a Case Luxem 120, so 120 horse, about thereabouts. As you can see, it's not a huge tractor, and it manages a 12 rotor tedder, not a bother. You know, you imagine like even a 6 rotor or an 8 rotor mounting machine on the back of this tractor, and it would know about it. You then start needing big tractors to do light duty jobs, you could say. But yeah, with the trail setup, only need a little tractor. So that's one thing that's really stood out for us this week. Obviously that applies to all makes and manufacturers, but yeah, it's just one other little thing worth considering when you're weighing up tedding options potentially. Anyway, so moving back on the tedder, so you got these side rails here, kind of look like the ones you get down the side of wagons. So when it's opened out like this, as soon as the tedder lifts off the chassis, these fold down out the way, so then that so the tedder arms can actually fold out, and then when the weight gets put back on the chassis, these fold up and provide a bit of protection down the side. And I think they do have a bunch of like that hazard marking stuff. So there you go. So right, moving back a little bit further. Right, here we come. We're getting to the nitty gritty now. So you got like a double-ended ram there. So one end of it pretty much takes care of your raising and the lower, and then the other part of it is all down to the folding element of it. To adjust the pitch of the tedder across the full working width, central pitch adjustment, simple screw adjustment in the middle, just in there. You can get hydraulic if you really want, but obviously that all adds cost. But I think for the majority users, screw adjustment, nice and simple. And then if you want further adjustment, there's another set of 3 pinhole adjustment on each of the rotors, basically where the wheel fixes underneath. So you can then tailor it and flatten it out or tip it right down, depending on what you need really. So now we start seeing a few more of the rotors. Like I say, they are 1.4 metre in diameter, so I suppose what you would class as a small rotor machine really. I think on some of their mountain models they do a 1.6 rotor machine, but we've got the 1.4s on these. They did a very good job of following the ground. As you can imagine, we've got a 13 metre working width here, and one of the things that really stuck out for us, and with the triple motors as well, just the ground contour following ability. We've got some really good dips and hollows around here, and it followed it really well, which is, you know, it's a characteristic of having these smaller rotors. So you've got smaller rotors, more joins along the chassis, and it means it can really sort of bend and flex and float around all the contours. So that's one advantage of, you know, the small rotors, is basically just being able to track the ground better. Potentially better than a large rotor machine. We've got the straight tines on here. I know, always a contentious issue. Straight tines, hook tines, straight tines. Everyone's got their personal preference. I know there's a lot of fans of these hook tines, but these straight tines, got to be said, particularly because it is a small rotor machine. Straight tines, I think, do a perfectly good job on a small rotor. I think hook tines kind of come into their own when they're on the larger diameter rotors, and it needs that extra flick, that extra throw. So, but it's always gonna change depending on what your situation is, what you're doing, and what you want to achieve. So that's got that on there. And then, yeah, on each wheels you've got the little crop guards, anti-wrap guards, always useful on tedders. And then in terms of the joins, like I say, it's pretty much, there's damn near a join near every rotor, and then in the joint there's finger drive, effectively, and it's quite a chunky finger drive. Obviously, brand new machine, we've had no issues with it so far. Only time will tell on the reliability of that, but from what we've seen, it does look like it's going to do the job. And then moving towards the centre of the machine, you've got the big folding light bar that comes up and over the top as the machine folds and unfolds, ready for work. LED lights as standard, always good. In the middle, in there, you got the big central gearbox in there. That's actually a steel gearbox. It's part of the chassis, so it's a stressed item, as they call it. In terms of driveline protection, I think we've just got a clutch at the front on the main input shaft, but I think if for wider models you can actually specify clutches either side of this rear gearbox here, so you get protection from either side of the machine. Probably a good idea if you're going super duper wide with some of their models and options. Onto the right hand side of the machine, we do have a swath deflector, swath curtain, whatever you want to call it. It basically just folds out down the side of the machine, and it just prevents you from chucking the crop into the hedge, basically. And I think you can specify that on either side of the machine, whichever one you want. But yeah, it's just a simple case of getting off the tractor, pulling a pin here, opening it up, and away you go. If you come around to the front of the rotors, you'll notice quite a substantial frame that's in front of the rotors. Now, as well as providing a bit of safety to stop you effectively walking into the rotors, because we all want to do that, don't we? To stop you from doing that, it also provides part of the structure, particularly the folding mechanism. So you get quite a lot of strength from one side of the machine to the other. So there you go, ladies and gents, that's about it for the Spider 1300 12T tedder from SIP. It's been good. It's been really good to learn more about the SIP equipment this week, with the Bowers as well and this tedder. Like I say, a standout feature of both of them is just the ground contour following. It's really good. Can't be said, it's really good. I don't know why I sound so surprised, but it is really good. And then performance wise with the tedder as well, you know, we've got the small rotors, again, good for the ground hugging ability. Really good even spread of crop we've found with it. Manoeuvrability as well. I mean, you know, it looks quite a long chassis, but in the field, I mean, actually even driving it around the yard, it's actually surprisingly manoeuvrable. In the field, it really comes into its own. You know, when you're turning on a headland, there's loads of steering angle you can put onto that drawbar, and the wide angle of PTO obviously helps. And then when you actually turn on a headland, you can actually get the inside rotors damn near reversing. So it's yeah, it's really manoeuvrable in field. You know, despite the width, because you know some people, they look at the width of these machines. It's 13 metres wide. You think, oh, crikey, that's going to be a bit much for some situations. But no, it's because we've been in and out of, you know, 5 acre lumps, little lumps, big lumps, and it's handled them all, not a problem. There's obviously trees and troughs and all sorts of things to go around down here. But no, she's done all right. So yeah, impressed with manoeuvrability, contour following ability. And overall, really, in terms of operation, just an utterly simple machine. Like I say, it's just the one double acting, one single acting. That's it. Jump on and drive. You got no ropes to pull. The only time you need to get out is if you want to fold that swath deflector down. But that is about it, really. So yeah, it's been interesting to learn more about this SIP tedder. Obviously, we can't judge the longevity of the machine or what it's going to be like in 5 years' time. That's for you guys to let me know how it's doing. Always good to catch up with these machines in the real world. But this week, yeah, it's good. I mean, there's not much more to say, to be honest. It's just a good, solid tedder, simple to use. There you go. What do you want? And I think it's worth saying that, you know, it's definitely one that's worth considering, because there's plenty of tedders on the market. You got your big two, Class and Krone, which obviously, you know, they're very popular because those guys sell foragers and they can be part of a deal or something like that. But you know, you got all these other tedders from, you know, Caverland and Coon and Pottinger, and this one is just another strong contender to go with those guys, really. So yeah, there you go. Well worth considering. Definitely have a look. Don't be put off because it's a new name, SIP. Don't be put off by a new name. It's definitely well worth a look. So there you go, in a nutshell. Hope you enjoyed that. Plenty more review videos on the website. Go check that out, LandPowerTV.com. And we will see you again next time. Thanks for watching. See you in a bit.